So I'm going to select a few pictures and I'm going to talk you through Colorscape, and I'm going to talk you through using the histogram. You remember I always talk about using the histogram to make sure your colours right. Not trusting your screen, because the chances are your screen will be completely uncalibrated. And not only that, even if it is calibrated, is it calibrated correctly? Did you set it up? Did the person who set it up know what they were doing when they set it up? It's just as likely to be a mile out than it is to be a mile in. So we just want to make sure that our pictures are nicely coloured. They don't have any blue, pink, orange, any other colour backgrounds where they should be white. And making sure we're starting from the right point is really what I'm trying to get for. There's no point you trying to make a perfect print, if your colour is off to start with, because no matter what you do, your print will always look crap. So I'm going to use a photograph of a model I've worked with a few times over the years called Jess. She's a great model. This is a pretty standard picture. Model in a pose, black outfit, brownish hat on a white background. Quite a summery look. It was shot last summer. And let's say I'm going to make a print of this, and I'm going to make it A3. So A3, for those of you that don't know, is roughly that. Hopefully you can see that. That's an A3. Double size of A4, not quite as big as an A2. And it's a pretty standard size for printing for portfolios. They look nice on a wall in a frame or whatever. So let's say I've done all my edit. I'm ready to go. I've got this picture of Jessica up on screen. I'm going to send it to print. So what would happen if I sent it to print as it is? Bear in mind I've said I want an A4. So the first thing we need to look at is dimensions. The dimensions of a photograph. And this is the first thing where people kind of fall down and get stuck. There's an assumption that the picture that comes off your camera, your full frame camera or your crop sensor camera, that is ready to be printed. And if you print A4, somehow the file and the computer and the printer know that you want it A4. So what people do is they'll go file, send the printer, send it to the printer, they tell the printer to be A4. And then it comes out of that and there's a bit missing. And people stand there scratching, they're going, oh, stupid printer. What's the printer done? Why has it done that? And it's not the printer's fault at all. The fault is yours for not making the file A4 in dimensions in the first place. So I'm just going to show you a comparison as what an A4 and what a picture off a digital camera will look like. Just going to make an A4 canvas. There, see the A4. And then I'm just going to drag the picture of the lovely Jess into that. And I'm going to put her in like that. And so you can see. So you can see now what's happened is my original picture is bigger than A4. So there's a million different things that can happen here. Either the printer won't resize it at all, and it could put it in anywhere like that, anywhere in that frame, let's say like that. But if that happens, we've lost all the bottom half of Jess, which is the biggest part of the photograph, shall we say. So if I just resize Jess to fit into an A4 frame, so let's just resize Jess so she fits in here nicely, like so. Let me put her centered. So if we center Jess now, yes, she fits top to bottom, but as you can see, we've got space around the sides. So let me just put a border around her so we can see where the butt edges are. So you can see anything outside of those black edges, we're going to lose. So if we put her off to one side like that, when this print comes out, that's exactly what you'll get printed. So you can see, whichever way we do it, whether the printer recognises the file's too big and squashes it down like that, or whether it doesn't realise it's too big and shows you on the preview like we just saw before. The problem is the picture of Jess is not A4. It's nothing like A4. Now, A4 dimensions are 21 centimetres by 29.7 centimeters. So let's just bear that in mind. If we just go to the image size of my file, and we'll have a look at the original size, and we'll change this to centimeters to match what I just said. So this is 43.28 by 28.5, and I said that an A4 is 21 by 29.7. So you can tell this is far too massive. So you might think, oh, well, I'll just resize it to fit then. All right, let's go with the height. So the height on this picture, what did I say it should be? 29.7. 29.7. Like that. But what's happened there is we've now got the wrong height, width, sorry. We can undo that and we can put in, what did I say? 21. Like that. And then we can go enter. And it should resize her to be A4. So if we now drag this again into our A4 template and bring her in, you can see how she fits perfectly. Yeah? That makes sense? Have we constrained her? Have we changed the shape of her figure? Do we think? The image size, undo. In doing that, did we make her slightly fatter? We did. Look at her slender figure there. We squashed her up and made her fatter because we didn't constrain the proportions. So now she might well fit in there, but she's slightly the wrong shape. So how do we do that? How do we not do that? Suggest. How do we keep her the right proportions? It's quite a simple thing to do, really. Whichever version of Photoshop on, it's dead easy to do. We're just going to go into the crop tool here on the left, crop, or press C on the keyboard. In this little drop down menu here, we're going to click on width, height, resolution. We're going to type in there 21 space cm for centimeters, 29.7 space cm for height, 300 dpi to match the printer. The printer I'm going to use is set for 300 dpi, or pixels per inch it is on here. And then I'm just going to make sure I've placed that where I want it to go. But look what's happened. Oh no, we're going to have to lose a bit. You didn't tell us that in the preview lens. This is one of the things that photographers have to get used to. There's always a compromise on a shoot. The kind of idyllic thing to do is to shoot slightly wider than you might think, because you're always going to have this compromise if you come to shoot in metric measures. The simplest fix for me on this occasion, because I want to keep the whole of Jess in, I'm just going to make it like that. Look, she's centered. I've made it slightly bigger than I need. And then a simple fix when I click enter is we've got those black boxes which we need to be filled. So as you would just do a quick selection, edit, content aware fill. That'll fill it nicely. And then again, select the bottom layer so you can highlight the right bit. Edit, content aware fill. Do that again. Should fill it nicely for us, like so. Select, deselect to get rid of those marching ants, and then you can see we've got a nicely centered, nicely framed A4 version of Jess. Before I go any further, I'm just going to get rid of those layers that I don't need. I need them to be there, but I want them to be hidden. So I'm just going to press Control, Shift and E on the keyboard to merge the visible. If we go up and look at the image size, that's right, look, 21 centimeters, 29.7, 300 dots per inch. Okay. So let's drag that out and let's chuck that back on top of that other one. Let's see what I get this time. In it goes. And we're in. Alright. Can you see that? The top one, right shape Jess. The one we did initially by changing the proportions of the picture, wrong shape Jess. See that? And then the bottom one, which had all those ridiculous edges that we had to put on to make her fit, is gone. So you can see now, quite simply, the correct way to crop your picture to an A4, A3, A25, whatever it is you want to do, is the crop tool, width, height and resolution. Type in the dimensions you want, A3, A4, whatever it is you're doing. Draw onto your picture. Make sure you get all the picture in that you want. If you have to crop bigger, do that and then use the content aware fill. Or you can even brush fill it or fill it however you like, whatever suits you, as long as you do. And then hit the crop, and then you've got the right size. So we're now ready to print, aren't we? Well, no, we're not ready to print because we've missed the key step. And that key step is the colour space. Now, a lot of people fall foul here. Let's say they understand how to crop. They've got all that bit right, but they're going to just now send it to a printer. So if I send this now to my office printer over there, which is a relatively new Epson, and it's got some rather nice but rather rubbish laser copier paper in it for printing text and things. What's going to happen to that picture if I print it out? How is it going to appear when it comes out the printer? It will appear to be quite rubbish, and I should have one kicking around here somewhere to show you. Okay, so I found it. So here's the piece of nice shiny paper. You can see that's a picture of a model called Nicola on it that I did some hairdressing work with a few years ago. Doesn't look too bad there, but trust me, when you see it like that and then you compare it to a professional print like this, there's an absolute world of difference. Quality, feel, colour. You can see those two colours hopefully on there, a world apart. And that's not down to anything other really than just telling the file to be ready to be received by that paper. And the most important thing here at this stage is not so much the file, but the colour scape or the colour profile within the file. And you're not trying to match it to the printer, you're matching it to the paper. The paper is the important thing. So how do we do that? Well, what we have to do is we have to make sure we've got the correct colour profile installed in Photoshop or whichever edit machine we're using. And we need to embed that profile into the file. So if we go to convert to profile, if we go edit, convert to profile, you'll see a destination space here. And you'll see it's set to it's defaulted to sRGB. If we drop that down, look, there's a million and one different ones we can use. I'm looking for the profile on here which matches my end game, the place I'm going to send it to. So what you would do is you would look on here for whatever paper profile you're wanting to use, and you can see on this one mine says DC Colour Labs Frontier Luster. That's the one I want to use today. So I'm going to select that and I'm going to click enter. Right, now you can see nothing's really happened to my picture. Occasionally you might get a little bit of colour added in. So over to the right hand side of your histogram there you might see a little bit of colour appear sometimes. Don't worry, that's adding in a bit of colour that it knows the paper needs, because the paper without that bit of colour will be slightly miscoloured. So all you're doing again, just to recap, is edit, convert to profile, destination space, pick the one that you want, click OK. It's now embedded that file. Now before you do anything else, a really good thing to do is save what you've done. File save as, print file, ready for print, whatever it is, because if you don't you might send the wrong one. Normally I would call it file name A4 print saved, I know what it is. But now when I send that to print to DS Colour Labs, it will come back and it'll look slightly different to what it looks on my uncalibrated screen. But if I compare the histogram of it to the one here, it should be the same. I should have no erroneous colours in the background. Jess should look the nice kind of tone she is. I wouldn't expect anything to be surprising. And I've used DS Colour Labs for about 15 years and never had any trouble with prints following this process. So whether you're using cheap paper you found on the internet, find the colour profile for it if you're doing it at home. Whatever printer you're using, whether it's DS or another ProLab, find their colour profiles for the paper you want to use. And that might be different if you're glossy, lustre. There's all sorts of other ones they have. metallic pearl, velvet paper, all that other stuff. Whatever it is you want it for, make sure that that profile is embedded in your file before you send it to print. Otherwise, it'll come back not the right colour tone that you were expecting, and you'll be highly disappointed. So hopefully that'll help some of you get over the fear of printing and maybe get you to start doing it a bit better. And it will certainly help with the black and white side of things. I'll do another example of black and white in a sec. I'll show a conversion process.